All right, welcome back. This is the small but mighty Wuben G5 ECL flashlight. And we're going to take a look at its build quality, functionality, beam quality, and the negatives about this light. So quick disclaimer, Wuben did send me this product for free and I do get to keep it or sell it at the end of this review, but my opinions are my own. So the build quality feels great. The body is made out of metal. It feels tough and strong, and I really like how thin and tiny this is. It's quite thin and tiny. Here is a banana 4 scale. Please subscribe. Guess what? I wrote a children's book called Who Says Pooh? It's a funny read aloud children's book about words in different languages that sound phonetically like the English word poo. Buying a book today helps support my channel. And also, you'd brighten up my day a whole bunch. Link is in the description. Now back to the video. I like the switch. The switch is fairly secure in each of its 3 positions. And in each one, you can see here, it's not jiggling at all. That feels great. I like the button click feel. And I like the wheel feel. It has this sort of click to it that feels good to me. It comes with the manual. It comes with a little keychain holder, as well as a Wuben lanyard and a small little tiny USB to USB-C charger. Okay, so functionality. First of all, let's take a look at its rotating head. It can rotate all the way over here, which I would say is 180 degrees, maybe even a little bit more. You can see here, it looks a little down, and we can rotate it. So I would say it's a little bit more than 180-degree rotation, which is pretty great. It is pretty stiff and hard to move. So once you have it in a position, it's going to stay there. Like I wouldn't be worried about accidentally changing the position of this. It does make it a bit difficult to do one-handed. Now I have big hands, so maybe that makes a difference. Some people might not like how stiff the head unit is to move. I personally like it. It feels more robust. There is a pocket clip on the side here. You actually have to pull it out and you can put it on either side. Now, this is a little bit tricky. And when I first got it, I was able to get it to one side, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to another side. So there's a little bit of knurling here, and you use that with your finger on both sides to pull out and then twist the pocket clip back into its resting position, its unused position. And then you can just pull it out like this to get it on either side. It is a tad wobbly, this pocket clip, and it sort of put me off it at first, but when it's engaged, when it's actually on something, it feels pretty secure, partially due to the fact that it has that little bit of clip thing in there. I found that because it's not centered, when I like wear it on a shirt pocket, it tends to want to kind of, if this is the shirt pocket, it will kind of lean that way a little bit. Not a big deal, to me at least. Some people might find that awkward. And it will fit on the brim of a hat, but because brims are so thick, it feels like it's really bending this to get on a brim. Actually, let me get a hat. If we put it on the brim, you can see here, it will go on, but see how much it is bending out and bending up. And I feel like they just didn't take into consideration people who want to wear this on a hat. And it's really convenient because with the brim of the hat, you can really position that down to see what you're working on. I think it's great for a little work hat light. If they had just thought maybe of making this a little bit more flexible, or maybe a little bit further out. But either way, it's on there. It's not going anywhere. I just worry about the robustness of this clip. We'll talk about that later. Next, it has a magnet. It's a pretty strong magnet. Here is a little tiny A-clamp, and you can see here, it's sticking to it no problem. And due to the fact that, again, this is rotational, you can get a lot of use out of that magnet. It will work in most situations where you could use a magnetic light. And with this little A clamp, I found it's a great pairing that you can kind of clip it on. Well, that kind of hurt. But you can kind of clip it on to whatever you need in order to get a light where you need it, where there's no magnetic surface. So if you're going to carry this guy around, I would recommend a small little tiny A clamp like this. So now onto the switch. I kind of already alluded to this, but there are 3 positions. You see here it starts in its locked position. You move it over once, and now it's in the functioning position. And then you move it over again, and it's in the charging position, revealing the charging port. Okay? When it's in its locked position, no controls work. I wish you could like check the charge of the light, but nothing will work on the light. When it's in its light position, of course, all controls work. When it's on and you change it to either the charging or the lock, it will turn it off. So there's that. And in the charging position, you can be charging it and still have it on. It will pass through power, so that's pretty great. It has 2 modes. It has a white light and an RGB version. To switch between it, you press and hold this button, and you long press, and it will go to the RGB. And if you press and hold it back again, it will go back to white. And actually, you can do a thing where if you keep pressing it, it will kind of just cycle through both until you let go. So let's look at the white light mode. Okay, so right now I have it in its lowest brightness setting. The dimming is not stepless. There are about 6 or 7 little jumps, and I wonder if we can see them here. You can kind of, there you go, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. So, and it is on right now. If you double tap the button in white light mode while it's on, it will switch to its brightest mode and it will stay locked there. You can see here, this is not changing the brightness. If I double tap this again, it will go back to its original setting. If it is already at its brightest setting and you double tap it, it will not increase in brightness, but it will lock the setting. At its lowest mode, it is 2 lumens, and at its highest mode, it is 400 lumens. And you'll notice there that if it's at its max, it won't increase brightness, it will turn off temporarily, and then same when you lower it, just to let you know that you're at the lowest or highest setting. At the highest setting, it will last 50 minutes and at the lowest setting, it will last 64 hours of runtime on a full charge. Let's take a look at the RGB. So we press and hold, now we're over to RGB. It's at green. The scroll wheel now functions to change the colors, and it cycles through all the primary colors, and as far as I can tell, there is no dimming of the colors. Okay, it's just the standard one color, and they are 10 lumens each, though it does feel like some are brighter. I'm just going to cycle through the colors so you can see all of them. They all should be 10 lumen, though I do feel like the green is a little bit brighter than all the other ones. So there's the green, for example, and then I'll go down one, see how the less bright, really bright because it's green, and then the blue, less bright. So I feel like they're all supposed to be 10 lumen, but the green feels the brightest. And as well, when you scroll through these, it's not seamless dimming. I'll go through it slowly. You'll see that's a big jump. So there's jumps between different colors. Some colors like that feel a lot more abrupt than other ones. In color mode, double pressing the button goes into blinking mode. Blinking mode runs for about 45 hours of continuous use, and you get about 9 hours of continuous use on a full charge when you're just running solid. I like having the red light blinking for emergency situations or for using the blinking red on my van when I'm packing up equipment at the end of the night. I often have to park on the side of streets and cars go like driving by you really quickly, and you know, I put cones out, but it always kind of feels a little unsafe even with my four-ways on. So just having a blinking red light that has a magnet on it that I can stick on there and kind of put out into traffic. Kind of gives you that extra level of safety. So I actually like this a lot. I keep this in my van now. When you turn it off, it will remember its last setting. So if I hold this and go back to white light, turning it off and on, remembers its last setting. So while it is off, it has two operations. First of all, if you press and hold it, it will show you its charging. So it will show you what its actual level of charge is with this color LED. And I'll talk more about that when I get into the negatives section. But if you double press it, it will go into kind of like an emergency flashing of two colors. So right now it's yellow and red. If you do it again, it'll go yellow and blue. And if you do it one more time, it'll go yellow and green. It will do this for 25 hours on a full charge. And again, they are 10 lumens. According to the manufacturer, this is IP68 rated, though that's not something that really matters to me. If it matters to you, there are other reviewers who have tested this and found it to be the water rating to be true. When you want to charge, okay, it takes USB-C, you stick it in, and a red solid light will go on, show you that it is charging. It will display a blue light when fully charged. The manual says 0 to full charge in 1.5 hours. I found that it got about 1 hour 33 minutes, so it's pretty accurate to what the manual says. You can see the beam angle, and you can see how there's a little bit of brightness here, but see how softly it fades? And this is at its lowest setting so that I can show this, and I had to change so much of my camera just to be able to show this. When I turn up the brightness, you see how the line starts right here, and I have this horizontally, okay? That's because it feels like it almost has a 180-degree beam angle. Now that's not the case because when I point down here, you can see it's way brighter. However, if I dim it down, you can actually see the drop off that I am seeing with my eyes. So when I pull it up a little bit further, right, you can see a little bit of a hot spot on the camera, but in my eyes, the difference here to there is actually indistinguishable. There's a very soft fade of light throughout this region here. Here's what it looks like outside at night. My cameras are set to manual with 800 ISO and a 1/48 shutter speed. Here's what it looks like when it is off. Now from lowest to highest, I'm cycling through the white light settings slowly so you can see the brightness levels and the brightness stepping. Okay, so now the negatives. There are a few points of possible mechanical failure due to the nature of this light. Number one is the pocket clip. I've already discussed that. It feels like it could be easily damaged due to the unique mechanism that this has. It feels like it could be a bit more susceptible to wear and tear just because of the nature of the mechanism in there, that you can pull it out or not. It may actually be very robust. I haven't had the light long enough to be able to thoroughly test that, and also I don't really use pocket clips on my stuff, so I'm not a good judge of that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. Number two, due to the rotational aspect of the head, I could see that being another place of failure where it could wear out, mainly because there seems to be an O-ring. I don't know if you can see that right in there between the head and the body, and I feel like if that were to wear out, its water rating of this light would go away. And also, I feel like maybe if it were to wear out, it would also change how stiff this is. So again, I worry that if you're excessively moving this, or if you even hit this too hard right here, it doesn't have any flex to it, but that is just a possibility with all mechanical items. So when this is on at full power white light, if you leave this on for a while, the head of the unit gets quite hot. Now it does have these little grates right in here. Let's turn this off so you can see it. It does have that little these little grates right there to help with airflow pass through. I'm thinking to cool the head of the light, but it gets quite hot. And the rest of the unit does heat up just a bit, but it is fine to hold. Just don't grab the head of the light. But I would be cautious of running it at full power for a long time just because of how hot this gets. Now let's talk about the charging indicator. When I press and hold this while it's off, you'll see it blinks a bunch of times. So this blue blinking is telling me that the charge is between 40 and 90% charge. If it was solid blue, this would be 90% or greater charge. If this was solid red, it would be between 15 and 40% charge. And finally, if this was blinking red, it would be 0 to 15% charge. I think these are not very intuitive ranges and rather weird. Like it should be 0 to 10, 10 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100% indicators. I think those are good indicators. Given that there is RGB on this light, I don't understand why they only use two colors and blinking and non-blinking to display the charge settings. They should have used solid red at the lowest setting, yellow for the second lowest setting, blue for the second highest setting, and finally green for the highest setting. I think that would have been intuitive and made more sense. And finally, when it's off, we double tap that and it does this. This is a useless mode. I don't understand what this mode is for. If you know, tell me in the comments. I think this should have been a strobe mode, okay? This should have been full power strobe, quick, fast strobe, full power. I don't understand why it's not. I started this channel as a hobby and with my intent to give the best information I can. Now, 2 years later, okay, I have several brands willing to take a chance with me by sending me gear to review on this small channel. And it's created a new challenge where I need to really double check everything I say in order to be as impartial as I can. And I find myself grateful to be experiencing challenges like this, challenges that I would have never experienced or thought of as rewarding had I never created Happy Little Tools. And I hope that I'm rising to the challenge in your guys' eyes. And I'd like you to take a look at my first video ever about the Knipex pliers wrench to see how much progress I've made from then till now. Thanks for watching.